There are tons of amazing accessories for the Samsung Galaxy S26 Ultra, ND filters, extra lenses, camera rigs, all great. But there is one accessory that completely transforms your S26 Ultra into a powerful filmmaking tool and unlocks features that simply aren't possible without it. A smartphone gimbal. I've got the Insta360 Flow 2 Pro here, which I think is the best gimbal you can get for the S26 Ultra right now. Today I'm going to show you 10 new camera features for the S26 Ultra that are only possible with the Flow 2 Pro, and I'll also show you why I believe the Flow 2 Pro is the best gimbal for the S26 Ultra. This is a good time for this video, because the gimbal is currently on sale. We'll talk about the price and a very special offer at the end of the video. By the way, the Flow 2 Pro is compatible with Android smartphones, and much of what I'm showing today applies not only to the S26 Ultra, but also to other Android phones. And big thanks to Insta360 for sponsoring this video. Let's get into it. Personally, I don't think stabilization is one of the Flow 2 Pro special features. It does stabilize well, but the S26 Ultra's electronic stabilization is already so good that you wouldn't really need a gimbal for that, at least not in good lighting conditions. But if you really want to take professional shots with your S26 Ultra, you need a gimbal, primarily for camera movements. The gimbal not only allows you to hold your smartphone extremely comfortably while filming, it also enables long cinematic camera movements that would simply not be possible without a gimbal. There are at least 4 gimbal shots that every filmmaker should master. A dolly forward or backward, which is a simple forward and backward movement to draw attention to a subject or close a scene. A simple follow shot from behind or from the front, where you follow the subject. A side revealing shot, where you make a sideways movement to reveal a subject. And a crane shot, a movement from bottom to top, which you can also use to reveal a subject. The Flow 2 Pro has an integrated selfie stick that you can easily pull out of the handle. The selfie stick has several advantages. On the one hand, it facilitates some of the camera movements we have just seen. With the help of the selfie stick, you can, for example, also take a follow shot close to the ground. On the other hand, it is ideal for filming yourself, for example when vlogging. For this purpose, the stick can be bent by 90 degrees at the front end. And the Flow 2 Pro has a unique feature in connection with the selfie stick that sets it apart from the competition. Most gimbals have a very limited tilt axis. This means that up and down movements are only possible to a limited extent. As a result, a proper crane shot is hardly possible, as the gimbal head moves forward or backward as soon as the limit is reached. With the Flow 2 Pro, you can now pull out the selfie stick. There is a joint at the front end that you can turn to the side, into what is known as free tilt mode. This gives the gimbal complete freedom of movement in the tilt axis as well. Not only does this make crane shots easier to achieve, but you can also perform longer and more creative camera movements. Earlier I said that the stabilization function hardly plays an important role with the Samsung S26 Ultra. That's true, but it doesn't apply in low light. The now excellent electronic image stabilization requires sharp individual frames to work well. In low light, however, the shutter speed is increased, resulting in motion blur. As a result, the electronic image stabilization no longer works as well. To continue getting well stabilized and smooth shots, you should therefore use a gimbal, especially in low light conditions. Incidentally, this also applies if you use ND filters and manually set the shutter speed to twice the frame rate in order to take really high quality professional cinematic shots with beautiful motion blur. As I said, the Flow 2 Pro offers excellent stabilization. However, this is true for most other smartphone gimbals. But if you want to film yourself frequently with your S26 Ultra, the Flow 2 Pro has a number of features that clearly set it apart from other smartphone gimbals. There will come a time when you want to set up the gimbal somewhere, for example to film yourself. Then it would be useful to have a tripod with you. The Flow 2 Pro has a tripod integrated into the handle. Unlike other gimbals, the tripod is very stable given the size of the gimbal, which is of course very important. If necessary, you can also pull out the integrated selfie stick and use the Flow 2 Pro like a slightly longer tripod. Although the S26 Ultra has a relatively good selfie camera, the cameras on the back deliver a significantly better image. This is especially true for the wide main camera. Not only does it have the largest sensor, but also the largest aperture. Now you want to film yourself with the main camera, but you can't really see if you're actually in the frame. The Flow 2 Pro has 2 cool solutions for this. The mirror on the back of the gimbal head reflects the framing of the main camera, so you can use this small mirror to see if you're correctly in the frame. But that's not all. You can connect a second smartphone to the Insta360 app. It doesn't have to be a second S26 Ultra, of course. It can be any other smartphone, and you can now use this smartphone as a remote with a preview image. This allows you to not not only estimate the framing from a distance, but also activate various functions and start recording. Both are unique features that only the Flow 2 Pro has. Of course, it's not always possible or practical to carry a second smartphone with you at all times in order to start recording from a distance. But there's another solution: gesture control. You can use gestures not only to start recording from a distance, but also to activate tracking. With the P sign, you can take a photo or start recording, allowing you to take selfies and group photos. With an open hand, you can start tracking and recording at the same time. And with this gesture, you can activate multi-person tracking and start recording at the same time. This allows you to place the gimbal with the integrated tripod anywhere and start recording with a hand gesture. And that brings us to a very important topic: subject tracking. Tracking is one of the most important and useful features of a gimbal. Either you film a moving subject and can keep it in the frame by tracking it, or you film yourself and can use tracking to ensure that you're always correctly positioned in the frame. This is an extremely useful feature, especially for solo creators. Of course, you can activate tracking not only by hand movement or a second smartphone. Normally, you simply press the trigger button and the gimbal automatically detects a subject and starts tracking. You can see that tracking is active by the green ring light. But unlike its competitors, the Flow 2 Pro has a number of unique features in this regard. The Flow 2 Pro rotates sideways around its own axis without limitation. This means you can move around the room completely freely and the camera will never lose you. Even if you disappear from the frame, the camera will recognize you when you reappear. I mentioned that we want to take high-quality cinematic shots with the S26 Ultra. As you may know, we should follow the rule of thirds to achieve this. This means that the subject or the subject's head should not be in the center of the frame, but rather along the line of thirds. For example, it should be on the left or right line of thirds, or the head should be at the top rather than in the middle. What really bothers me when tracking with many devices is that the subject or head is kept too much in the center of the frame. It doesn't look professional or cinematic. Once you have activated the tracking function, you can use the joystick to adjust the framing slightly. But the Insta360 app has another feature in this regard: the Pro Framing Grid. This allows you to specify the area in which your subject should be positioned in the image. The gimbal will now automatically keep the subject in the upper left or upper right corner, for example, or simply keep the head at the top of the frame. This is a feature that is easy to set up, extremely useful, and one that I always use. Of course, this works whether you're tracking yourself, another person, or an object. The S26 Ultra has two telephoto lenses. The camera with the 5x lens, which has a focal length of 111mm, is particularly good. Now, of course, you'll want to use a telephoto lens to film yourself or track a subject. In fact, most gimbals have difficulty tracking with high zoom factors. The Flow 2 Pro supports tracking even with the 5x telephoto lens. And you can also track a subject with a zoom factor of up to 10x. This way, you can not only film yourself in high quality from a distance, but you can also track distant subjects, such as a soccer player during a game. And another thing, when you move toward or away from the camera, you can activate auto zoom to help maintain consistent framing while tracking. Insta360 is also rolling out a major update in May that will introduce all lens active zoom tracking for an even smoother experience. Zooming in and out is very easy and incredibly smooth with the dial on the front of the gimbal. If you want to avoid zoom factors between the focal lengths of the cameras in order to achieve optimal image quality, you can simply push the dial up and down briefly to quickly switch between the individual cameras. This is another feature that I haven't seen on any other gimbal. Insta360 is a brand that is of course also known for its 360 cameras and 360 recordings. Imagine being able to take full 360 panoramic photos with your Samsung smartphone, in which you can look around freely by swiping on the screen. And that's possible with the Insta360 app and the Pano Photo mode. When you start recording, the gimbal takes photos in all directions and the app then stitches them together into a 360 panoramic photo. This isn't a pro filmmaking feature, but it's still a cool feature that I've only seen in this form on the Flow 2 Pro. For this, as well as the other tracking features we've seen today, you'll need the Insta360 app, but you may want to track a subject or yourself directly with the S26 Ultra camera app or another third-party app. Maybe you're just used to the Samsung camera app and want to use it for tracking. Or you want to film and track yourself with the Instagram app or the TikTok app. Or you want to track yourself during a video conference and when using Google Meet or Teams. And that's possible too with the AI tracker. You attach it to the gimbal head. The tracker recognizes the subject autonomously and independently of the app, enabling tracking with the gimbal completely independently of the Insta360 app. The tracker does not need to be charged separately. It is powered directly by the gimbal. Personally, I think the battery life of the S26 Ultra is quite good, but on a long day with lots of shooting, it's possible that the battery will run out. That's why it's great that the Flow 2 Pro can also be used as a power bank to charge your S26 Ultra. And this works not only when the gimbal is folded up, but also while using the S26 Ultra on the gimbal. This means you can connect your S26 Ultra to the gimbal, start recording, and charge the battery at the same time, which can be a huge advantage on a long day with lots of shooting. As you can see, the Insta360 Flow 2 Pro offers many additional features. It normally costs $160. Personally, I recommend a bundle with the AI tracker. The gimbal is currently on sale and available starting at just $127. I think that's a fantastic deal, and only if you use the link in the description will you receive an exclusive free gift. If you want to know why the Flow 2 Pro is currently the best smartphone gimbal, check out my comparison with the DJI Osmo Mobile 8. You'll also find a link to this video in the description. Of course, there will be more videos about the S26 Ultra and the Flow 2 Pro. So stay tuned and see you next time.